How's it going, everybody? My name is Jordan Kenyon, the host of Connecticut Business Podcast, and thank you for joining me for another episode. Today, we are going to be sitting down with Amanda, the co-owner of the Sleepy Rooster Cafe out of Cobalt, Connecticut. But first, a couple things about Amanda. She graduated Central Connecticut University with a business management and marketing degree. After college, she learned the ins and the outs of the food industry by becoming a waitress, a baker, and she even took a sales and marketing position with a cookie manufacturing company. Throughout the years, she got caught up in diet culture and developed unhealthy relationship with food and her body. It wasn't until she was introduced to intuitive eating that her mental and physical health began to change. She made it her mission from that point on to help teach others how to eat food that makes them happy and develop a loving relationship with their body. So without further ado, here's Amanda. So why don't you tell me about yourself and how you got into the business you're in?
Sure. So my name's Amanda Pisciferato. I own the Sleepy Rooster Cafe. I went to school for business management and marketing. I did not start off with that degree. I had changed my degree probably a couple times because I knew I wanted to do something in the creative field. I had started off as a graphic designer because I love doing design. But as I started taking those courses, I realized I wanted to do something more in like the business marketing side of things. Growing up, I loved food. I taught myself how to cook and to bake. And I started my own small little business where I was decorating cakes and cupcakes and selling them to people. So I slowly started to realize food was kind of my niche and my thing, and something that I saw myself having a future in. After college, I continued to get more food experience. I worked at a nonprofit cafe and was a barista there. I also worked at a gluten-free bakery and was a baking assistant. And then I got a corporate job doing sales and marketing for a big decorated cookie company. So I kind of had like a little piece of the operational, like baking and food side, but also the business management and marketing side. And there was something inside of me that always knew that I wanted to do something more, that I wanted to own my own type of business. And then about like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, this location kind of popped up and fell into my sister and I's lap. And she reached out and was like, if I helped, you get this going and funded this with you, would you move home and run it? And then we worked on, getting everything up and going and started the cafe.
Awesome. So when you went to school for business management, did you have plans of starting a business, or was it more just to get a business degree and then get a corporate job?
Um, I knew I had wanted to get a corporate job in the beginning to get experience. And I had always had this idea of owning my own business. My concentration was also in entrepreneurship. So I did take a few entrepreneurship courses, and I had some really big projects that helped me basically do everything I needed to do for the cafe to get it up and running, such as a marketing plan, a financial plan. And once I started taking those courses, I was like, okay, I'm actually really good at this. I could see myself owning my own type of business. So I think as I started to take more courses, I realized I saw myself owning my own business, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah. How was it working for the big cookie corporation with marketing? How that
So
you guys are kind of in the same industry as far as food, so I'm sure the marketing aspects kind of transferred over really well.
yeah, I loved that job. I did a little bit of sales and a little bit of marketing. For the marketing, I helped write all the copy for the website. Any new products that they launched, I was in charge of helping come up with a name for it and writing the product descriptions. And then I also was in charge of social media marketing and customer service. So marketing has always been something I've been super passionate about. And I knew that with the cafe, my marketing background, was something I really wanted to make sure I was able to I guess, able to make sure I was doing every day, if that makes sense. Because I think with a lot of business owners, you get so caught up in the daily operations that you don't always get to do what you truly enjoy. And marketing is something I absolutely love to do. So I wanted to make sure our website was beautiful, our brand was on point, and that I'm always doing something on social media, whether that's posting, really nice photos or teaching our customers something new.
All right. I want to stay on the topic of marketing because I actually like marketing as well.
Yep.
So when you are trying to do social media, each platform has its own demo and its own like psychology to it. So how do you use like Instagram versus Facebook for your brand?
Yeah, so Instagram is definitely more like photo driven, I find. So people want some like a really nice photo that catches their attention. They want either like a funny or relatable caption. I find that like if you have like a really nice photo with a fun caption that people either find funny or can relate to, you're more likely to get more engagement on it. I also do more on our story with Instagram than I do on Facebook. So like just posting daily updates and asking people questions and
Getting
doing
them
content.
to read like a screenshot or put on your story or engage that way.
Um,
You know what I'm saying? Like you know how you can have a picture on your story and then somebody will not almost like a retweet kind of where
right,
they'll put your
exactly.
story on their story.
Yep, yep. So if people post a photo of us, I always put them on our story. Whereas Facebook, I don't tend to do that as much. Facebook is, for me, a different market. It's an older market. It's more, I would say, like 30 to 50-year-olds. It's people who are commuting into work and are looking more for, I guess, our daily specials. And I don't focus as much on like making the photo look extremely nice for Facebook. I would say it's more like an informational platform for us.
Do you see long form or short form work better for Instagram or because I've heard people say that you know like long form works really well on Instagram for your captions.
Yeah.
Do you try that? Do you like play around with that? See what happens when you do
Yeah, I've tried a little bit with that. I don't really find a huge difference. I think I need to play around with it a tiny bit more to see, but for me, I really think that first sentence is like what draws people in.
that? Yeah. What uh, do you do any sponsored like paid ads at all, or is it more
I've
go all organic?
Right now it's mainly organic. I haven't focused too much on a huge marketing budget. I've done a little bit here and there, and that's definitely helped. I've had people come in who are like, "Oh yeah, like I saw your post. We drove like 40 minutes just to come see you."
Oh wow.
So I think it definitely works, and you can really fine tune who you want to market that like post to. So you could specifically choose the age group, what occupation they are, what location they're in. And I think it's really important that when you're doing a targeted ad like that, you have a very, very defined niche on
Did
who you want
you
that post to be about.
did you do any of that with the corporate cookie company when you were doing the social?
Yeah, the reason I left that job is because they didn't want to focus as much on social media as they did on everything else. And I knew that like social media was something I was passionate about. So they didn't give me a huge like marketing budget for that. So I did it every now and then, but
Were
they
they more
didn't.
friend?
They were more a business to business company. So selling to like big national chains. They had like a more um consumer product related line, but their main business was business to business. So I think it just wasn't like their primary focus.
Did they play around with LinkedIn at all? Or did you play around with it while you worked with them?
With the targeted ads?
Well, just LinkedIn in general, because it's
Oh,
more business focused?
Um, Again, they're super small, so that wasn't like my main job description yet. My owner still had his like hands wet with that portion of the business with LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
But I know that was something that they wanted to work towards, was focusing more on posting on LinkedIn and really going after those businesses.
So that then working with them, did you get to get a lot of practice for your own marketing on your business, or was it more your marketing education from college that kind of helped?
Um,
Or is it just your own research? Because I never went to
I,
college, but
yeah,
I've learned actually that's another good one. Sorry, go off a little bit
that's
topic.
okay.
Now, I never went to college, but I do a whole hell of a lot of research in my own
Yep.
stuff. Do you think going to college and getting that education helped you a lot, or do you think it helped you a little? Where do you think that weighs in on the need when you start a
Um,
business?
so I don't want to bash college because I had a great experience and I did learn so much about like getting a business up and running between all the projects that I talked about. However, a lot of what I learned is research on my own. Just reading, following a lot of successful business entrepreneurs online, watching a lot of YouTube videos. Marie Forleo is a huge role model of mine, and she has a business school that I did invest in and take. And she actually focuses really hard on your branding and your target market, getting your website set up and social media. And I didn't get as much of that in college. And I don't know if it was just because I didn't take like a course that focused on that, but social media also was kind of just beginning when I was in college.
Oh,
So I would say like Instagram had just started to get big my sophomore, junior year of college. So there weren't really courses on that yet. So everything that I learned for social media was what I basically taught myself.
what about other than social media? Did the college help you out with the fundamentals of business?
Yeah,
Where,
yeah. I would say management wise, teaching you how to be a strong leader and communicate properly. I definitely learned that in my college courses, just through taking communication classes and business management classes. And I think just as cheesy as it sounds, like the whole overall college experience really does help you grow up and become a more like strong, independent person. And you're working with people of different personalities every single. I think that's a huge thing that you need to learn. You know, you need to be able to work with different people of different personalities when you own your own business. So I think just overall going to college helped me become like a more confident and strong leader.
and it gave you a little bit of taste of everything working with, like you said, a whole bunch of other people,
Yeah,
and if it didn't teach you specifics of marketing or whatever, it at least got you to interact with other people, and which you do every day now in your business.
exactly. Yeah, I had taken some courses, like I took a marketing research class, which I loved. And I think that's something I'll probably further go into, but learning like the psychology behind like people's purchasing behaviors, and that was super interesting. Because I think that's a huge thing when you're trying to define like your target market and figure out like what their needs and their wants are and their purchasing behavior.
So
Um,
how deep do you go into the psychology? Because I just started researching like they call it like brain marketing or psychology marketing, and I just started getting into that really heavy in it. How deep? What's your understanding of it? Do you know a lot about it? Or
um, no, I wish I knew more about it because I think it's so interesting. The only, I would say for me, when I'm creating all my posts online, or even our website, like the copy for our website, I try and get inside our like target customer's brain. And I'm like, okay, like if I was this customer, like what would make me want to buy this product? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I
when
always try and get inside the customer's head when I'm writing my posts to make sure that I'm actually creating this sense of like want or need or urgency from them.
When you get a chance, you should look into the reason why the middle is always chosen the most.
Oh
And
yeah. Okay.
it's scary that if you look at Starbucks's menu, their most their highly sold items, you know how they have three sections, are
Yep.
in the middle of the three sections, in the middle of the board itself, and then the middle price.
That's
And
interesting. Yeah.
it's crazy when you look at things like that. And that's why I didn't know how deep you went into psychology marketing, because it's a very interesting topic that I've gotten into lately.
Yeah.
Uh,
It is pretty crazy when you're, for instance, with the menu, just designing it and placing like either your most profitable item or your most expensive item in like a certain location. It's crazy how the consumer's brain works, and they'll directly like go towards that item just based off like where it's placed.
yeah, the article I was reading, it said that your eyes go to the middle first,
Hmm.
then goes to the right, most likely your highest priced item, and then to the left, and then back to the middle.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
So
Yep.
how did you go into designing your menu to make it flow and help with the selling process, to make it a little bit easier, or kind of put people where you want them to go?
Well, the first thing I did was I don't know if you've seen our menu, but I named all of our sandwiches something kind of fun and catchy. 'Cause I wanted to do something different than what, a lot of other places do. I actually put our like most popular sandwich at the top, which is the Sleepy Rooster. It's a fried chicken sandwich. And then underneath it, I put the two most common and top selling, which are the most basic, like right underneath it, which is kind of like more in the middle. And those are just a meat, egg, and cheese and a bacon, egg, and cheese. And they're super simple and basic, but they are our number one sellers. For breakfast, some people, they just want something super simple, something they're super familiar with. And then the items that are more expensive, like cost me more money, I put towards the bottom. So just
And you see
because
at the bottom that they are lower selling items.
they're not lower selling items, they cost me more money to make. So I wasn't trying to draw like as much attraction to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and did you see that putting them at the bottom made them sell less, or do they
I
still
don't
sell?
know if that's why, but they definitely don't sell as much as the other ones. So it is interesting.
What's the price between one of your bottom menu items, not to you but to the customer, versus the your most selling, your
So our
in the middle?
cheapest one is 450, and like the other ones are 895.
So that's the
So
middle to the bottom.
price
Like,
wise, you're saying?
yeah, like your highest selling one that you had said was the chicken, the sausage,
Yep.
egg, and cheese sandwich, which was in the middle. That's 450.
That one's 550. So an egg and cheese is 450, and then a meat, egg, and cheese is 550, and then our fancier ones range up to 895.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was wondering if they were close in price and they just made it like less
Yeah, that would
seller.
be interesting if they were, though. I don't know. So it could come down to something as simple as price, but I also think it goes back to our target market. We get a lot of it's mainly commuters heading into work, but we also have a lot of construction workers and truck drivers, and they want more of like a big hefty meal.
So
So
they
I
go
think
with the
that's why most of them go towards the chicken too.
So what is your more expensive ones versus the sausage, egg, and cheese? Are they
um
like different style sandwiches, or are they just different in general, or?
no, so all of our breakfast sandwiches have egg on them. The two that I'm referring to are it's called the perky turkey. So it's lettuce, tomato, cheese, turkey, avocado, bacon. And then the other one's the spicy cow, which is beef, peppers, onions, jalapenos, pepper jack, cheese, avocado, and an egg.
Big
um,
sandwich.
yeah, so they're big. So they have a lot of ingredients on them. But I've just found that I'm slowly learning that less is more, which is kind of crazy. But I find that our more simpler menu items sell better. And I think it's just because they're simple and it's more familiar to people and people gravitate towards those more.
Yeah, less thought goes
Yes.
into it. Going
Yep.
back to the psychology of it, same article I was reading, it when the reason why people choose the middle is because it's a safe option. If they think
Yeah.
the right, the more expensive, or the left they don't want to miss out, that FOMO, fear of missing out. And when there's too many options, people go with their safe option. So probably
Yeah, exactly.
they see that, like, if they have to think too much on the fancier sandwiches, and they're like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's a construction worker that's in a rush. He's like, no, just give me the easy one, the normal one.
Exactly. And it's interesting because with this whole COVID-19 pandemic, I actually simplified our menu and I cut it in half. And all I did, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put our top sellers on it and I just want to see what happens. So I put the fried chicken sandwich, meat, egg, and cheese, an egg and cheese, and then like a vegetarian option. And it's amazing to see like how much easier people are making decisions, and it's actually worked out better for us because we're able to like get the food out quicker because customers are making quicker decisions. We're able to like cook the food quicker. So I found that it actually worked in our favor in a weird way.
You think it's something that you guys will continue to do, where you won't go back to a full menu, that it's
I
worked
don't
so
know if I
well?
am gonna go back to as large as I had. I have more options on the lunch menu now because we actually picked up a lot for lunch. And I don't know, I'm just finding that in the morning for some reason, like the easier options are like more popular and like sometimes less is more. So I think what I'll do is keep it the way it is, but what I've been doing is throwing more specials into the mix just to give like some people some new options.
Like a daily special?
Yeah, I'm right now doing weekly specials. I might do a daily special and only use like ingredients that we already have. That way I'm not buying something new all the time.
Yeah. And yeah, so your profits can stay the same.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
when you changed the menu, did you change it across the board on everything, or did you like test out the new menu on like Instagram or Facebook, or change it on Google, or you just?
I honestly just changed it everywhere. Um, I didn't even bother testing it out because I have the analytical data, so I knew which sandwiches were the biggest sellers, and I was like, I when it came to like COVID and a pandemic like that, I just felt like we had to make that decision and really cut back.
And so far it's worked.
Yeah,
Have
it's
you,
worked so far. So
has anybody questioned like a missing sandwich or a missing item?
yeah,
Where
some
is it?
people do, and I still have a lot of, like the ingredients for some of them, so I just let them do it. But yeah, some people are like, "Oh, like you like cut the menu down." I'm like, "Yeah, we wanted to, keep our food costs down and, keep things simpler for us because my on the weekends we get so busy that my fear was with this everyone being home, that we'd actually be a lot busier and have way more takeout orders, and I was nervous we wouldn't be able to keep up. So I wanted to cut the menu down to make sure that we could really get the food out there quickly to everybody. And
Now,
once you explain that to people, they totally understand.
yeah, especially with everything going on, people are a little bit more understanding than normal, which is good.
Yeah.
So, were you right? Did you guys pick up with everything that's going on with the coronavirus?
So honestly, it's been so different every week. I can't even, it just depends on the day. Last week we were busier on the weekdays, which was really weird to me because I thought weekends would pick up. Um, the only day I've seen a consistent decrease is Sunday, which actually kind of makes sense to me because I think a lot of people are probably buying dinner on Friday and Saturday nights and probably don't want to spend money for breakfast on Sundays, or they are cooking breakfast at home. Because for me, growing up, Sunday was like family breakfast day.
Hmm.
Um, that's the only really logical thing I could think of. But for the most part, the other days are pretty much the same as what they normally are. So Sunday is really consistently the only day that I've seen, like, not a huge decrease, but definitely a little bit of a decrease.
So your sales overall haven't really been affected since this started, or
Not
have?
dramatically enough where I need to freak out. I had a couple employees, ironically, um, not that they quit, 'cause one of them's my mom, to be honest, and she just kind of didn't care if I got rid of her hours, and I had another girl who didn't really care. So I did cut our employees' hours a decent amount, so it kind of balanced it out.
Mm. Now, so you've been in a business for what, about a year and a half, you said, right?
Yeah, a year and like 3 months.
So do you have, other than family, do you have outside employees, or is it just a big happy family inside there?
No, so my mom's really the only family member who works for us. We have, I think it's 6 other employees, maybe 5 right now. And they've every single one of them has been with me since the beginning, so I've been very lucky.
That's good.
Yeah, but
And
we've had a couple come and go. Most were seasonal, left for school. Um, One left because he had another job and it was getting too hard. So nothing like major. But my prime, like I think it's 4 of them, have been with us from the beginning. So that's been really, really nice.
how is it managing so many people so early in
It's
business?
it can be challenging. Do you mean like early in the morning? Is that what
No, like
you,
early in
okay.
the business. But
Oh,
if you
gotcha.
want to talk about early in the morning, we can talk about
Yeah.
that.
Early in the morning. Early in the business, I don't know. It's weird. I'm only 27, so I would say the weirdest part is when you have employees who are older than you and you're managing them, because you have to really be confident and strong in your decisions. So that took a little bit for me to get used to. Um, but from a lot of my other jobs, I not that I had management experience, but I definitely had more like leadership experience. So I was pretty confident in it, and I knew like how I wanted everything to be done. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's still challenging at times just because every single one of our personalities are so different. So you really have to use like a different like technique or skill with each and every single one of them.
So going into the age gap, because I've had I'm in my early 20s too,
Yeah.
and I've had guys that have worked for me that are double my age, going into their 40s and almost pushing 50 at times.
Yeah.
How do you handle that in specific to, somebody that might be twice your age or your mother's age, or for example?
Um, I try not to treat them too different, to be honest, because you can't like favor someone or not favor someone just based off their age. I would say for like the older employees that I have who have more experience, I actually say to them like, "Hey, like this is how I'm thinking, or this is how I want to do something. Like, what's your opinion? Or like, do you have something like you recommend doing differently?" So but I do that with the younger guys too. So just trying to, you know, get everybody's feedback and opinion on things. Fortunately, like all of my employees have been super understanding and receptive with me, even though like I'm only 27. um, Honestly, I don't really treat them too different. I feel like you can't, you know what I mean? You kind of have to be the same boss to every single person.
Yeah, I've always, and you've probably experienced it. It's just different. It's weird at first giving someone so much older than you an order when usually we're
Yeah.
raised the other way. You listen to
Yeah.
your elders, and now the tables have turned, and it's almost like I feel weird about this.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I think I've been lucky because they've all been pretty respectful, I guess is the word. You know what I mean? Like nobody's like,
Understanding of
oh, I'm
this.
older than you. Like this isn't how you should be doing it. But I think I've proven myself at the same time. Like I've proven that our cafe is doing well and like everything we're doing is working properly. So I think they've kind of learned to like respect my decisions.
So when you first started, you said your sister funded it. Did she give
Yep.
you, did she just get the place going, or did she put money into it for payroll? Like, did you bootstrap the company, or did you like have money to back like a couple like 6 months worth of money already there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So she used her savings. So I actually didn't have much money in the beginning. I put a little bit of it in, but she's always had a dream of owning a breakfast cafe as well. And she knew that I wasn't super happy at my um like towards the end I wasn't super happy at my corporate job. So she used her savings to get it up and going. And then that was it. Like we didn't have a loan, we didn't have any other investors, we didn't have family help. It was literally just her and I like got it up and going. So I don't know. I don't know
Did,
how we did it. It worked, but I
now,
think we just yeah, I don't know.
did that did her savings put enough to float you guys for a while till you made sales, or was it like this is barely enough? I don't know how we're gonna do it, and like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it was enough to get us going. It wasn't too much. But I think I don't our cost it's a small cafe. So our cost to get it up and going really wasn't that high. And we did have a family help in the sense of like the building and construction and the decorating because my dad can do all that. So we didn't pay these contractors to come in and like completely build everything for us. And the
Yeah.
equipment that was there was from the previous owner and he let us do like a month by month payment to pay him off. So that helped to have that money coming out month by month instead of paying him big like one big lump sum up front. But yeah, no, what she put in was enough to at least get us through that first month. And then our sales just, were big enough in the beginning that we were able to start having some operating capital in the bank and pay off all of our bills. And then the other thing though, I would say is we did have a lot more family help in the beginning. So I only really had 2 people on payroll when we first opened, and now we have 6. So payroll
So
is one of our bigger expenses now.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
you're in a labor heavy business like I am, and that's a
Yeah.
big expense to front.
Yep.
Uh, so how'd you generate enough awareness to like so that way
Um,
at the end of the first month you had enough sales? Because that's pretty quick, at least in my opinion. To
yeah. I went on all the local area town pages on Facebook and I was like, hey, like this is, I'm Amanda, this is my sister Nicole. We're starting this cafe up and want to get your feedback. Like this is the menu we're doing. So I think we started renovating in June and I just like started getting the community involved. I was posting photos of the renovations. I was asking people like their feedback on the menu and like just being on top of it and like updating everybody on the whole process. I think it got people excited and it made people aware of our cafe, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Uh,
it's like pre-selling something before you actually make it, which
yeah, and that was it. Like I didn't do any other marketing. It was literally on Facebook.
and you got a lot of engagement. Well, obviously from doing the construction step by steps and all that. You saw everybody that
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I think people love seeing like because we completely transformed that location. So I think people, thought it was pretty cool to see how much work we put into it and how like nice it looked at the end. So it got people pretty excited about it.
You have
And the
a
other thing too, like we're on a main road, so people are driving by that location constantly every single day. So people saw us working there and they knew it was coming. So I think just being in a good location helped us as well.
Then do you have a tight-knit community in general that they kind of support local business?
Yeah, so we have like our regulars who come. It's weird because it's weekday versus weekend. So we have our regulars who come literally on the weekdays, and then we have our regulars who come on every single weekend. And when I post online, people are super supportive, and if I ask a question, they'll answer it, or they'll share my post and tag their friends. So yeah, people and customers are super friendly when they come in and always asking like how we're doing. They want to help support us and keep us there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So going back to like you and your sister, how is the partnership? Like how do you guys separate tasks? How is
Yeah.
it having a partner? Because I used to have one in my business, and we are still very good friends now, but the partnership itself didn't work out.
Yeah. I think it depends on who you're partnered with. I mean, she's my twin sister, so we fortunately have a very, very, very good relationship, and we're very balanced. So my strong suit is marketing, communication, like being creative and recipe design. Her strong point is accounting and financials and numbers, and she's fine like sitting behind a desk all day. So um we she's a full-time accountant, so she can really only do our financials like after her other job or on the weekends. So she was understanding. I just said to her like, hey, like I already have, so these are like all my roles that I'm doing. Like I don't have time to do the financials. Like, can you just take that whole part of the business? So she's really in charge of like booking all of our receipts, like paying all of our payroll, making sure like all the utilities and the bills are paid on time, like filing all of our taxes. I think we literally just as simple as she does the financials and I do everything related to the daily operations, and it's just worked for us that way. But that being said, we're talking about like her eventually coming more full-time, on hands at the cafe, because it would be nice to have like an extra person there.
No, then you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I know when I started my business, it took a while to actually be able to pay yourself. Are you guys
Yeah.
able to do that, take draw checks right now, or are you guys kind of just building up and just living off of savings? If you don't have to
So
answer if you don't.
I didn't have a savings before this, and I think that's the scariest part of owning your own business is not having that consistent income come in. But I started taking a small paycheck. I think it was like 6 or 7 months in, but it wasn't every single month, and it still isn't. And now with everything with Corona going on, I'm not taking anything because we both want to make sure we have enough money in the bank, like God
Mhm.
forbid something happens. She still has not fully paid her back for like everything that she put into the cafe in the beginning. So she really hasn't taken anything for herself, but we did start paying me a little bit every month just so I could support myself a little bit.
So with that situation and now this situation, have you looked into any of the grants or SBA programs that are out there?
I didn't look into the grants yet, but I think I might. We really are trying to do this without a loan.
Mhm.
I just, the idea of having, like, being in debt, I don't know. I feel like we've done a good job of not having any debt right now, that we're really trying to stay away from it. But I think if it got to the point where we needed to, I would consider it. But right now, like, we're still chugging along. So I think a grant would definitely be a nice option. But we're really trying to stay away from a loan, which I know some people probably disagree with me on that one, but
Well,
just
it's
given
a
that most of them are 0% interest right now, but it's still a big chunk of change.
yeah, it's still something that you have to pay back, and it is
Exactly.
after this whole thing kind of hopefully goes over soon. It'll be nice to say that you got through this without having to take money, or even if you
Mhm.
had to, it's still being such a young business going into the coronavirus that it is now causing recession times and possible Great Depression times.
Mhm.
Being able to go through it and then stay in business is still pretty good to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So yeah, I
So
think until we need to do that, I'm trying to hold out.
it's all a matter of who can hold their breath the longest right now.
Yep.
And hopefully it's not that long we have to hold it.
I know, I
So
agree.
what is intuitive eating?
So intuitive eating is basically listening to your hunger pains and your body. So if your stomach's rumbling and you feel hungry, you don't ignore it, like you actually eat. You don't body shame, you don't make yourself feel guilty for eating something that is labeled as unhealthy, such as like a burger. You honor your craving. So if you're craving ice cream or dessert or a salad or a smoothie, it could be something that's healthy. You listen to your body and you eat it. And it goes further into um, you stop eating when you feel satisfied or when you feel comforted rather than overeating, if that makes sense. So it's the whole idea of intuitive eating is basically listening to your body. So you're eating based off what your body is telling you.
No matter what kind of the food you are
Yeah,
eating.
yeah, exactly. Yep. I know it sounds crazy and it's an idea that I think people have a really hard time wrapping their fingers around because they think, okay, but like I'm going to crave a burger every single day. So that means I eat a burger every single day. And that's not actually how it works because for me, in like high school and college, I got so caught up in diet culture that I stopped eating any food that I enjoyed because it was labeled as unhealthy and it was told it was too many calories and it was going to make me fat. So I was completely depriving myself of all of that. And then once I had like the opportunity to eat something, I started overeating. Do you know what I mean? So you're deprived of it so much that you end up just eating too much of it. Whereas with intuitive eating, you don't deprive yourselves of those foods you're actually craving, that you only eat till you feel completely satisfied.
So is intuitive eating like what am I trying to say? Like every like a lot of people are into intuitive eating. Like it's not how do I want to say it? You know what I'm trying to say? Like it's
Is it
a
a popular
trend, a trend.
trend?
That's right. Yeah,
I don't think so. I think it's something that people still really aren't too familiar with. You hear people about like keto and intermittent fasting and um, diets along that sort. I haven't found that intuitive eating has been something that's really been talked about enough. And it's not a diet, that's the thing. It's a lifestyle. You're not, you're not depriving yourself of any type of food. Um, and I just the US today is focused all around diets and all about like achieving this ideal body image, and intuitive eating goes further into that where it's like you're not eating to achieve a certain like physical appearance.
just your own
You
happiness.
Yeah, you appreciate the way that your body is, you appreciate your body's shape, you honestly just love your body, and I think it's such a freeing um lifestyle that people still don't really know about. Because
So how
once you develop a healthy relationship with food in your body, you're not depriving yourself of these foods and you're not hating yourself for eating something that's labeled unhealthy. You just have like this happy overall content with the way that you look and the food that you eat, if that makes sense.
how'd you get into it? And, and
Um, so I moved to Syracuse, New York for that sales and marketing job. And ironically, my good friend from high school went to college at Syracuse University as a dietitian, but she studied intuitive eating, and that was her whole thesis paper. And I lived with her, and she had experience like working with people with disorder. It's not an eating disorder, it's disordered eating. Um, And she basically just taught me everything about it. And it's not something you're just like the next day you wake up and you're like, oh, like I'm eating intuitively. Like it's a long journey. You don't just like wake up one day and all of a sudden like eat that way, if that makes sense. But she was already living that type of lifestyle. So just living with her and being around her and like hearing the way she talked and like seeing the way she ate and seeing how much like she respected like her body and the food that she was eating really just changed like my whole entire opinion and the way I viewed food, I guess you could say.
So, like, I know you said it's not certain foods, like you're not shaming certain foods, but is there more common foods you eat when you're eating intuitively, or do you have a healthier lifestyle? Even though in theory it sounds like you wouldn't, but do you think overall you have a healthier lifestyle from doing something like
Well,
that?
I think I wouldn't say it's a healthier lifestyle. I just mentally it's healthier because I'm not like before I would, I don't know, eat a cookie or something and I would be like, oh, I shouldn't have ate that. Like how many calories was that? Like you start body shaming yourself and feeling guilty for eating a cookie. And now I
Hmm.
don't do that anymore. And so I don't have that like guilt and shame anymore. So mentally it's definitely a healthier lifestyle. I wouldn't say I'm like the food that I'm eating is healthier in any sense because I'm not depriving myself of anything. Like if I want to eat a cookie, I eat it, but I don't eat 10 cookies. I just eat the cookies until I feel satisfied, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Um,
So I got a couple questions I want to end our podcast with. So if you were to give advice to somebody that was going to enter into your business space, what would you say?
uh, Sounds kind of crazy, but it's something I struggled with is don't be afraid to let go a little bit. So don't be afraid to let go of control. Um, and trust your team. So I have a hard time like giving them a task and just like letting them do it and trusting them. And I think as an owner of a business, you really need to learn how to get good at that because if you don't, you're going to get super burnt out. And I started to feel that way in the beginning and until I finally was like, okay, I got to let go, like trust that I trained my employees properly and like let them do their thing. And then in return, what happened was it let me um, spend more time on the things that I enjoy, which, for example, like creating new recipes or just like taking photos of food and posting it online. So I
Going
would
into,
say, what was
no, go
that?
ahead. I was just
Just,
to say, then we go ahead.
yeah, like just don't be afraid to let go of control a little bit.
And so by doing that, you got to go into more of the things, like the more business aspects of things, of the picture taking, the marketing, and the
Yeah,
customer hunting.
yes,
Um,
the stuff that I truly enjoy doing.
so what's your overall goal for the business? I know it's
So
still in your first 2 years, but where do you see you guys going?
we have a couple visions and we're still trying to figure it out. So, couple options. A lot of people want us to go more of a sit down route. Um, and if we were to do that, it would be like a fast casual type thing. So I still wouldn't have servers or waiters. Um, I just I think people really like convenience and kind of like the setup of like Panera or Chipotle where you order, get your food, sit down, and then you can kind of leave at your own, pace.
Yeah, it's,
Um,
what do they call it? Fast casual, I
yep,
think.
fast casual dining. So something along those lines and opening a franchise of the Sleepy Rooster is definitely something I could see for us and bottling our Sleepy Rooster sauce. So many people have asked us to bottle it. Um, and I've thought about it and I'm just nervous that if we bottle it, people will like cook at home and not come in and actually buy from us. But I do think bottling that and like getting that out into the market, into supermarkets would be something that could be pretty huge for us. So working on that. And then the other thing we're really considering is a Sleepy Rooster food truck.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
So yeah, so we have a couple ideas. But I think just creating a franchise of Sleepy Roosters and really spreading that message about eating happy and living happy is something that we really want to accomplish, kind of changing the whole world's view on diet culture and what it actually truly means to like be healthy, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It sounds pretty interesting. So what do you guys think you'll achieve over the next like 5 years? What's your plan to hit over the next?
I would say definitely have at least, I would say probably 2 more locations open. I think definitely 1, but 2 more would be like a nice goal to achieve. I
For
think we would kill it by college campuses. So going towards a college campus is something we're definitely considering doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're probably pretty busy since you're very new to the business, but what do you like to do in your free time when you get a chance?
I surprisingly still cook. I bake. I miss baking a lot, so I try and do that every now and then. I read a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I go on a lot of walks with my dogs. Work out every now and then. You're on your feet all day, so the hardest thing to do is come home and work out some more, but I try to every now and then. And play tennis. I just try and keep like as busy as possible, and I love painting and drawing as well, so I'm trying to do more of those things to kind of relax me at the end of the day.
That's surprising. After being cooking all day and being on your feet all day, you cook at home and you walk your dog.
Not usually. I definitely do walk the dog, yes. I don't usually cook on the weekday or on the days that I'm working, but on my days off, I will cook.
Do you ever take some of the food home just so you don't have to cook it later on that day?
Not usually. I surprisingly no, just because I'm usually eating when I'm there for breakfast and lunch. So I don't usually take it home too often.
So what the next question is what in your opinion do you think defines a successful business owner? And it doesn't have to be monetarily.
No, I completely agree. I think this is something our culture also struggles with, is us tending to all be workaholics. And for me, I've always been a workaholic. I'm like a type A personality, and I like have taught myself to not be that way anymore. So work-life balance, I would say, is a successful business owner. I think you really, really need to separate your business and your personal life and make sure that, yeah, you're spending time and focusing on your business, but you're also spending and focusing time on your personal health. So I think if you can get to a point where you're running a business successfully and you're still making time, for your personal happiness, then you've hit success, in my opinion.
So how do you personally make sure that you have a good work-life balance?
I depends on the day. I work at the cafe from like 5:30 to 3:30 every day, and then I make sure when I get home that I do something for myself, whether that's walking or reading or some type of activity. Sometimes I don't even do work for the cafe when I get home. So I usually spend like the rest of the night just focusing on myself. And then on my days off, I'll spend like 5 days in the morning, like strictly working on the cafe. And then I completely like shut it off the rest of the day. So I think like setting a set schedule for yourself where it's your business hours versus your personal hours is super important. And you literally have to say to yourself, okay, like at 6 p.m. tonight, like I'm done working.
And just make sure you stick to it.
Yeah. And it's hard at first, but I think I've seen like how much my energy and my attitude and like overall happiness has changed once I actually started spending more time doing things for myself. And you start to crave it more. And it's weird because your like output into your business is actually better because you're coming from a place of happiness and excitement, and you're full of energy, if that makes sense, because you're actually giving yourself rest.
Rather than working till 8, 9 o'clock at night, going
Yeah.
to bed, waking back up at 5:30, and day in, day out, just burnout.
Yep. And I think it comes down to being productive. You know what I mean? You can achieve the same amount of work in 5 hours that you do in 10 hours. It's just making sure you're actually focusing on like the one most important thing that needs to get done. So it's just really being like focused and productive with your time.
I agree, and I think it's a lot of business owners struggle with that
Yeah.
work-life balance, even if they're in a financial position to have that work-life balance. I think it's just
Yeah.
something that we breed in America, just workaholics. So we touched on labor being a huge portion of your expenses, but other than labor, what's your biggest expense?
Unfortunately, I think it's utilities right now. So that's something we really have to work on getting down. We took over a lease from another cafe, so we didn't really have any bargaining power at that point. So our utilities, I think, would be probably up there. And then our food costs could be better. It's not horrible though. You know what I mean? Like the only way I could really save is by going to Restaurant Depot all the time or bargaining with my suppliers to get our costs down. But it comes back to that work-life balance thing. Like I told myself I'm not going to Restaurant Depot like till 7 at night, twice a week, every week. You know what I mean? Like, I think as long as you're really staying on top of your portion controls, which we do because we measure every single thing out for every single item, you can really control your food costs. And it also comes down to pricing of the menu, if that, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it all goes into it. So,
But the only other thing is because we're a takeout cafe, we package everything to go. Whereas with sit down cafes, you don't have that packaging cost. But we cost all that into our pricing. And we are a little higher than our competitors for that reason. And it's because it really is because of packaging and because we have higher quality ingredients, but you really do have to take into account all your packaging costs.
no, there's a lot that goes into it, and utilities for you, other than food, they're probably pretty high, running electricity all day.
Yeah. I mean, it's frustrating when you see your utility bill and you're like, oh, if we could just get this down, we would save so much money. So I think that it's definitely going to be something like after all this chaos, like we really need to start researching different utility companies and like trying to get our price down a little bit on that end.
Yeah, it's one big thing of negotiations. So last question, big question, is if people want to know more about you and the Sleepy Rooster, where can they go?
Sure. So we are on Facebook under the Sleepy Rooster Cafe. And then also Instagram is just the Sleepy Rooster Cafe as well. And those would be like the two outlets for like daily updates and information about us. And then our website is thesleepyroostercafe.com.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for joining me. It
You're
was nice talking to you,
welcome.
Amanda.
Yes, it was nice talking to you as well. Have a great afternoon.
You too. All right, everybody, that's the end of our podcast. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you could, please like, share, put this on your story, let everybody know about it. And if you want to be on our next episode, please email me at ctbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you. We'll see you for the next one.